Hey, we're off and running now.
What I did, I called my, I said, "You're gonna guess what I just did."
Okay, let's get this meeting to order. It is 9:03. Go ahead, Rookie.
Thank you, Mr. President. As for the record, my name is Rudy Canizares, Vice President of our board, as being delegated by Mr. President Gaskell as President of the Oregon Mortuary and Cemetery Board. I'm calling the Oregon Mortuary and Cemetery Board into public meeting session under the authority of ORS 692-310, OER 830-011-00102 and 3, and ORS 198-0 to ORS 192-7 ordinance with ORS 192-6301. This public meeting session is open to the public. The board invites the public to sign up to provide public comment at the time scheduled during this meeting. Public comment may be limited to 2 minutes per person at the discretion of the board chair, board president, or vice president chairing the meeting. The date is January 20, 2026, and the time is 9:04 a.m. This Oregon Mortuary Cemetery Board will now come to order. Staff in charge of recording this session, if you've not already done so, please start the recording. And I would like to have OMCB staff in charge of roll calls, please commence roll call.
Righty. Rob,
Here.
Doogie,
Here.
Melissa. She's on. Oh, there we go.
Fine.
Craig. Hello. Craig,
Here.
Deb, here. Holly, here. Brady,
Here.
Elizabeth, here. Kevin,
Here.
Neil,
Here.
and it says Nancy is not here. I believe her. Yeah, that's a typo. Yeah, sorry about that. No worries. Tony,
Present.
Chad,
Here.
Greg,
Present.
Ryan,
Present.
I, Sylvia, am here. Mary Ann,
Here.
Angela, Aaron.
Present. Thank you. So we don't have approval for the meeting minutes from last time. Ryan will get those done for the next meeting. That's right. Is this where I talk about the election of new officers?
Well, we're talking about it.
Okay.
Yeah,
then
general comments.
Thank you all for being here. I'm excited to see two new board members and a full staff again, and that's very helpful for all of us. And let's keep moving forward with the executive director's report.
All right, thanks, Rob. This should be in your packet for general session. So budget, you'll see that this is for 25-27 biennium. It shows at the top the revenue that we've received so far and expenditures, and talks about how our budget is broken out, what we receive, what we're projected to receive based on the debt filing fee and how that's split. Any questions on that? Okay, on to licensing.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Like, I'm working at community college on the biennial budget. Sometimes it's changed in the second half of the biennium. Any changes that we would expect? Any?
Not that I'm aware of. And just, that's a good question, Neil, and just kind of to explain, there are times though when there are times when maybe unanticipated expenses are increased or fees increase based on vendors that we use. If our expenditures exceeds our revenue, projected revenue, there's an option, or there's a mechanism that state agencies go to. Is called the emergency board, an e-board, that we would go to request additional funds.
Mhm.
So no, I don't anticipate that. I don't know if we've ever had to do that as far as I've been the ED. We work very closely with Dash Shared Financial, who provides a financial review of our of our funds, and they let us know on a monthly and if not, more frequent basis, depending on what they measure and, what they observe. So, there's kind of mechanisms built in to where we would know in advance or something of that, but then there is the mechanism where we would ask for, there's a formal process to request more what we call limitation if our expenses were to exceed what was projected. Great question.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. So it probably works very similarly to community colleges in the sense that there's a certain formal procedure to ask for additional funds. And as you'll recall, since we are, first of all, that we are an other funds agency, so we receive no general funds, no lottery dollars. We're self-funded by mostly licensing and a debt filing fee. And then also based on that most of our revenue comes at the end of each year, we're required to keep a reserve, which is about 8 to 10 months of operational, which we continue to do that. So we do our very best to be fiscally responsible, and we've been very successful doing that. Any other questions about budget? Okay. Licensing, Ryan has worked painstakingly to catch us up. During his absence, we did our very best. And if you recall at the last ED report, we did not update those numbers. So Ryan has done a great job in updating those numbers for us from June to January of the change in licensees. So any questions about that? All right, next on to compliance, inspections. We're continuing to train Angela with the inspection process and that type of thing. And then very soon we'll be able to set her forth to start doing inspections on her own. Greg, I don't know if you want to talk more about kind of the inspection training that we've done so far or what we have planned in the near future.
Well, unfortunately, we haven't done a lot of training because of agency's been going through a lot of changes. But starting in January, we're going to start doing inspections together and continue that through February, myself with Angela, and then have an out-of-town trip to show her how to do out-of-town type organization, how that whole process works. But the ramping of the training is going to start end of January and really start taking off from there. A lot of the changes from, having a new compliance manager, hiring process of that and getting that person on board. And of course, other things that were going on sort of precluded us to really fully engage in the training. But we're now at a point we can fully engage, and hopefully we'll have Angela up going on her own maybe by March or April.
Thank you for that, Greg. And yeah, our agency, as I think you're all aware, we have gone through a great deal of transition recently with absences and vacancies and that type of thing. So I'm really pleased that we have a full staff now working towards full training and capabilities. And then we're just the sky's the limits there. I will say though, that Angela has been integral, as well as Sylvie, to supporting Ryan during this renewal process, which we will talk a little more as a general item. But during that time, Angela and Sylvie have done a great job in kind of shouldering some of that extra work when license renewals come up, as you can imagine. Anything else, Greg, regarding inspections that you wanted to share?
No, I think the numbers are a little bit behind than we would like on a normal situation, but don't be alarmed that it's still early in the biennium and we have plenty of time to catch up some of those numbers. I anticipate even by the end of the fiscal year, we should be in good shape.
Thanks, Greg. And if you recall, during the vacancy of one of our inspectors, Greg did a great job on his own, keeping us at 100% or higher.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and it's understood that there is a bit of a dip, if you will, just due to training and all the other things that our agency has experienced. So Greg, you've done a wonderful job in keeping us consistent and appropriate with our KPM for the inspections. Thank you for that. Now on to investigations. You'll see on page 6, it just shows the case status from the last several board meetings, where they are. And now that we have a compliance manager, we will begin to start being able to move cases from open to post and closed. So anticipate to see those numbers changing in a positive way in the next, as we move forward. And then you'll see on page 7, starting, it shows cases presented during last board meeting, the status of all those. So they're in varying situations, different status. Marianne, did you have anything you want to share about investigations at this time? Additional?
Not unless there's questions.
What is NPDA?
Sorry. Notice.
Just want to give the opportunity. And then you'll see on page 8, starting there, IDP. And then on page 9, you'll see the status of claims from October, mid-October to end of December. And then you'll see the calendar year numbers from 2022 to 2025. Any questions on any of that? So I guess we need to vote to approve the report.
Could I have a motion to vote to
So-
approve the executive?
Mr. Russell would like to make a motion to approve the executive director's report.
Second.
All those, don't know, do we have to do, we don't have to.
You have to do individual ones.
Okay, so,
And I'm sorry, I had my head down. Who seconded? Thank you, Kevin.
You can tell by the enthusiasm of the individuals.
and I'll say that this is for the record, we'd like Kevin when he was sick. He's a little feisty.
Oh,
Oh,
sure.
yeah, got a little jolt.
Yeah, I do.
All in favor, say
Oh, I thought you said we had to do it individual.
You do have to do individual.
So at this point, would you mind just going through the roll call again?
Oh, okay, okay. Just wanted to make sure that was,
And just for board members, you don't have to. include
Oh,
staff or AG.
okay. Rob,
Yes.
Rugi,
Right.
Melissa,
Yes.
Craig,
Aye.
Deb,
Aye.
Holly,
Hi.
Brady,
Aye.
Elizabeth, yes, Kevin,
Aye.
Neil.
So let's go into action items. Best practices.
So no public people today. All right, so just a reminder, standing items should be in your packet, I think, for general session. If you recall, one of the KPMs is the board best practices. And you'll see that there's the kind of the criteria for each specific topic that you will be, I believe, in July, I think, is when you do the report. So if you feel that anything's not being met or have any questions, please reach out to me and I will address those with you. Otherwise, just a reminder to be mindful of those as July approaches, so you'll be ready to give your evaluation on that.
Thank you. Let's welcome some new board members. Elizabeth Johnson, tell us about yourself.
Okay, so I currently work with Clearstone, so I manage 3 locations that are located in the Salem area. I've been in the industry for about 8 years now, and I'm a licensed funeral director, not an embalmer. So,
You're
and
lucky.
yeah. I also manage a cemetery and a crematory. And I have 4 kids and just hit my 30th anniversary with my husband. So,
All right.
thank you.
And Brady, you must have a bunch of stuff to say.
Yeah, so much to say.
Brady Leader, Executive Director, Riverview Cemetery. Been there just a little over a year. Been in the business 20+ years, graduated with Holly. So we had a great group.
Yep.
And grew up in Woodburn High School graduate. I'm an Eagle Scout.
Wow,
Some little unknown facts. Yeah.
that's impressive.
3 daughters and I have a grandbaby. And I live here
Best thing in the
for,
world, isn't it?
oh, amazing. It is.
The grandbaby, not the daughter.
That's right.
My first
Be real, huh?
2 weeks.
Oh.
What did you say?
Hopefully, I have my first grandson or well, I don't have any other grandchildren, but in 2 weeks, they're
Nice. Very nice.
very excited. Very excited.
We have a public,
It's just,
member.
I'll get you.
Right?
We do.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, well, welcome aboard. Thank you so much for being a part of this. You're gonna learn so much and offer so much. It's gonna be really nice. Being on this board has really opened up my eyes to a lot of stuff.
And if I just may, I'm so pleased that both Brady and Elizabeth joined our group, if you will. I believe they'll bring a great deal of expertise and perspective to our board. So I'm looking forward. Yeah, excited that you joined.
So we need a nominating committee for elections of new board officers for president, vice president, and secretary treasurer. And who would like to be on that committee?
Usually it's 1 or 2, if I may.
Yeah.
Usually it's 1 or 2 board members who solicit interest from other board members who are interested in serving. And then next meeting, we will do a vote. It's kind of unique in this situation because we just, in a sense, had one due to unique circumstances, had a vote in October. So it might seem a little soon, but there were some unique circumstances. But typically it's 2, I think, would make good as a committee, kind of soliciting interest and then determining who those nominations are for the next.
Anybody want to volunteer that's on the board to do that? Ollie? Brady?
Have you sent it right there?
I mean.
Volunteer,
Today.
Yeah.
I'd volunteer. I mean, I'm
Okay.
relatively new in it, but
Neil?
I would,
Thank you, Neil.
I'd like the experience, yeah.
Yeah, great. Anyone else besides Solomon? There's nothing better to do.
The run her funeral home and cemetery.
Right.
So is there anybody that would work with Neil on that?
I will. I did it a little bit at the end of the year last year. I didn't really know what I was doing, but that's fine. Yeah.
And for the record, if somebody wants the president position, that is just fine. But I'm off the board at the end of this year, and I could stay on till death do us part if that's needed. If somebody else wants it, go for it. That's awesome. Okay, so we have Holly and Neil. Thank you guys for doing that, and Chad can work with you on
For sure.
stuff. On influencing your decisions. No, just kidding. Just kidding. OMCB newsletter.
Oh, a renewal update.
Oh, let's do a renewal. So I'm kind of scared.
And I'll keep it very brief. For licensees, you may know that FFPs, combo licensees, embalmers, and apprentice licenses all expired at the end of December, and at this point are lapsed if they were not renewed. And you have until April to renew with a reinstatement fee. And pre-need licenses are currently in their renewal cycle. So they are due to renew before the end of February. And we'll have some more data come April meeting about who has permanently lapsed. 'Cause right now, nobody has permanently lapsed. They basically have a little time to renew and reinstate. So That's all I have for now. Oh, and facilities are not due for renewal, so don't try to renew your facility license.
Thanks. Do you like it that it's once a year? Would you rather go all year long with birthdays and all that? I don't know what that
I'm
would be.
glad you asked. We have a staff proposal that the board had actually approved last January that we're hoping to implement that would move it to be such that each individual license that is issued and any facility license that is issued would be valid for 2 years from the date that it is issued, rather than just expiring December 31st, regardless of when it's issued per each every other year. So I think ideally we would have it not be all at once and have it be kind of spread out. For each individual's license. And my understanding is that staff has been directed to implement that staff proposal that y'all reviewed last January and approved. So hopefully that'll be coming.
So what does that mean for everybody that's already licensed? It's
Unfortunately, you would still be on.
gonna be on the same, so you're still gonna have it.
Correct, but right now it would still have the effect of a bunch of people.
Right, okay.
But it would offset it somewhat, and then it would also set kind of the trajectory to be over
In the
time.
future, yeah.
So
It's got to start somewhere, right? Well, that seems like the most stressful time of year for, I mean, that's a lot of hours that just is concentrated on that. That has to be.
I have had exceptional support this year. Last year, we had implemented a part-time person, and that was helpful, but not nearly as helpful as having somebody who's an actual staff member full-time who just very familiar with our database. And so sure, having additional staff support is key in keeping my head afloat.
If I help you, could I have one of those cool monitors?
Talk to chat.
Okay, thank you for that. Thanks for your hard work on that. Now let's. Put the news. That's
So is everyone able to, it should be, I think it should be in your packet. So, and you should have got an email version, either as a licensee or as a manager. So another quality publication. Facilitated facility.
good job, Sylvie. Appreciate it.
And amazing photo by Greg of a deer.
Yeah.
in the cemetery.
Yeah,
And
I
that
was
should have gone out
excited.
on, we sent that on a Friday. Is that when that went out?
I believe so.
Right, yeah, it's.
I had a chance to read it myself. Thank you.
Hold on mine, it says cemetery operator Kaiser. Technically, it should say Salem. Cause that's where my cemetery, huh? Yeah. It's technically the cemetery I operate is in Salem.
I didn't add you. I know, we can make note of that, but at this point, it has.
Just let you know.
Each reference, so where, and I'll make note of that.
Yeah.
Personally, but where should it list?
On the newsletter, it's, yeah, it says cemetery operator Kaiser. I live in Kaiser, but the cemetery I operate is in Salem.
Oh.
So that correction.
I apologize.
That's okay.
I think mine has been, this is Melissa, has been listed as Prineville, which
It
is
says
nowhere near Pendleton.
Yeah. Yours says Pendleton.
Big diff, okay, it's got corrected then, good.
Did it used to say? Is that what you're saying, Melissa? They used to say Prineville?
That's it. Yeah, that's
It used to say Prineville, yes.
Okay, so that's correct. Okay. We seem to correct Elizabeth's in the next. Yeah, okay.
Make sure that that's correct on
Yeah.
spots.
Yeah, I think that's usually,
So now everybody's gonna be like pony years.
What is mine?
Okay, stipend review. Christopher Ryan.
Christopher, I will keep this very brief. Board member stipends will be issued 2 times a year. This is a recap for those who are, who've been on the board, but just for those who are new, that these stipends will be issued 2 times a year. Once to cover from January up to July, and then once to cover from July up to December. You are provided a stipend for the board meeting day as well as the day prior for preparation. And currently, the stipend amount is $178 per day. So essentially be given, or you will be issued a stipend here very shortly. I processed that on Friday, so you should be receiving your stipends for July up through the end of December. You should see that check, I'm guessing, within a few weeks, depending on how quickly DAS can process that. So, any questions?
The only consideration there and exception is if you have an outgoing board member, you can't go through that cycle.
Must do it immediately is what you've informed me of. Is that correct?
I think there is an Oregon statute that you need to do that.
And I've made note of that mentally. And Chad, I'm not sure if you're aware of that, but just keep in mind that if a board member does leave, that we're supposed to,
And I mean, it kind of naturally falls in line with the two who've turned off, because they would have been.
Correct. But what I'm trying to say is if somebody in mid-cycle.
Oh, yeah.
Does that, that's just one of the things we have to remind each other.
Hopefully we don't have any board members that are gonna.
No, but that's good to know, right? Because it'll always be the exception. And if you forget,
Any other questions about that? Comments? Okay, strategic planning session.
Okay, actually, I think I'll read the article because it has some good information, but then I also want to get people's impressions. So I'll just read the article. So November 18th, the Oregon Morrison Cemetery Board hosted a strategic planning session at Spirit Mountain Casino focused on the board's future organizational priorities. Approximately 40 OMCB board and staff members, licensees, and other interested persons participated in planning for the 2026 to 2031 period. And I think that was a great turnout, 40 people. So that was wonderful. The strategic planning session was followed by an OFDA district dinner featuring guest speakers who presented on alkaline hydrolysis, tissue donation, and certain Jewish burial and funeral practices. And I think it was really wonderful that we could collaborate with OFDA for an event and kind of piggyback in a sense of the attendance on that. And then they could continue with or I guess go to our event for the evening dinner. Strategic planning participants were divided into 7 tables to discuss 4 key topics previously identified during earlier strategic planning sessions. Number 1, disaster preparedness, fatality management. We were extremely fortunate to have Candy Cates, all hazards planner with the Oregon Health Authority, attend the session to provide her expertise on this critical topic. Indigent Disposition Program Fund was another topic. Then policy recommendations, customer service, and operational efficiencies. Discussions focus on improving accessibility to board meetings and the OMCB website, expanding educational opportunities, providing information about investigations and inspections, and continuing to remove barriers to licensing. Number 4, legislation rulemaking. Participants considered which laws or rules require clarification or amendment and noted that terms like substantial revision needed further definition. Each table designated a scribe to record notes on the discussion topics, and the notes were collected at the end of the session. The next step is to synthesize these notes into a cohesive report, which will be shared with all participants to ensure that all discussion points have been accurately captured. Once finalized, the report will be formally presented at a future board meeting, hopefully in April, allowing the board to determine how to proceed with the recommendation. We sincerely thank all participants for their contributions to the strategic planning session. Participants worked together constructively, creating a highly engaging and productive session. Special appreciation goes to Wally and Mia from OFDA for coordinating the event logistics. So that was just kind of an overview, but I'm just kind of curious for those board members who attended, would you mind kind of giving your perspective on how things went and how you thoughts about it?
I thought it was a great turnout. I was impressed by how many people showed up. People that don't normally get involved in a lot of things were there. So I was impressed with just the sheer numbers from across the state, really. That it was a great collaboration.
I agree. And for me, especially being new, hearing from like funeral directors and what their issues were and the things that they think that needed to be addressed, was very interesting to me because I really wasn't that familiar with it. So I thought it was very, very interesting, very helpful.
Anytime we get to spend time with staff is a good time for me, getting to know you guys better, stuff like that. So it's very, very great, except for.
You're not looking at anyone particular.
Yeah, no. And it was very obvious that a lot of prep time went into this so that it went really smoothly. And so thank you, Chad, for that, and anybody else that's helped Chad do that. The staff really knocked it out of the park, so thank you all.
It was a collaborative effort, so great planning.
It was a great session. Really goes into the vein of strategic meeting. I did have a moment of pause, right? If the OMCB convention coincides, is there a good capture of the representation of the licensees we serve and all stakeholders? Meaning, there was a good representation, right? But what I've learned through the 4 years here is there's big diversity of, sanitary operators, embalmers, prevatories and so forth. And part of the strategic meeting is you get pretty much feedback from all stakeholders and the public, because public members were there, was represented. Did we capture pretty much everybody, or this is just pretty much because it's OFDA or leaning towards female directors? You follow what I'm saying?
I do get it, and I think it kind of naturally is based on the membership. That it was an OFDA event, although it was open to non-members. So I think many non-members did attend. This was just an opportunity that we saw as kind of a captured audience already with the OFDA district meeting. So we could tie that in, that we could have additional people in addition to those members, but also additional population being represented. When we do another strategic planning session, I don't know if we would have the opportunity to do OFDA. I don't know, we might work with CAO. We might just open it in general. I just saw this as an opportunity, since we had planned pre-pandemic to do a collaboration with OFDA at the convention to have this type of thing. I think where we actually were talking about board members from each participating in board meetings. So that fell by the wayside, like many things did during COVID. But I just felt it was long overdue, and it just seemed like the opportunity was right for participation. So for a future strategic planning session, I think we can talk about that as a group. What we think would be maybe a good opportunity to maybe capture a little more diverse group, including more CAO, some public members, those types of things. Okay, that's definitely up for discussion.
It was great though. Totally, it was wonderful.
Sure.
And I can tell you from going to the OFDA conventions, if you had 40 there with us and them, that's a huge number. And you're not gonna get more than that. Are we, Rob? Like OFDA just does not pull out that many people nowadays. So that's about the best representation that you're gonna get for female directors. And I think it was a great idea to do that. That's awesome.
And the OFDA board has discussed including the CAO in a 3 type strategic meeting as well, just to make sure we can get those other folks involved.
CAO, what does that mean?
Cemetery Association of Oregon.
Okay.
But to speak on that, there were folks at that meeting that don't attend OFDA regular meetings. So that's what I meant by it's just a well-rounded. There was a lot of people there that we don't see.
I kind of viewed it as more of a training for my crew. So I invited a lot more of my crew to come to that than I would normally bring to other things.
What were their feedback to you on
They
event?
actually loved it because they kind of saw it as more of a networking opportunity as well, because they had access to a lot of other people. There's one particular funeral director in my group who was really interested in DMORT. And so she was able to connect with the person who was doing that. So, it was a really good opportunity for a lot of kind of give and take feedback and discussion. I was really interested in them having a good discussion about the IDP, because I feel like that's really misinterpreted in a lot of ways. And so That was my reasoning for them to be there, but they got a lot more out of it than just that. So.
Fantastic.
There
Yeah,
was,
great.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, there was two young gals at my table that were both from Central Oregon that had never been to anything like that. They took a vacation day to come. So that speaks to,
It's a good location.
yeah.
That was what I was gonna say, is that in addition to looking at trying to capture a large audience like that, you try to plan it with a OFDA type meeting. The other part to that to me is choosing the right location, because that helps entice people to come. If you pick a boring kind of location or something,
Right.
not many people are gonna come, but
Yeah.
since this was sort of a casino and it was sort of a destination,
Yeah.
I think that's another idea in the future that we think about, is be careful what locations we pick, because those can really help entice people.
Wonder what would happen if we had it at Kevin's coffee shop.
Well, possibly, play.
But I think that's a great point, Greg, and I think OFDA tries to make a destination point for people who, I mean, those who represent OFDA can correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like they want to have a draw that's not just that can attract more people, and it tends to be kind of the resort casino type places, because then they could bring their spouse, maybe even their family.
Oh, it's close to
Just kind
their
of
house.
enjoy
Yeah.
the event as kind of a destination place, and, you know, maybe win or lose some money and participate in an important event. Did anyone win anything?
If you don't play, you can't win.
No.
So I was just curious, because I mean, it just seemed like that the energy when people were leaving was really positive, and people felt it was a really great event. And there seemed to be a lot of engaging conversations and just really positive, respectful discussion. So I just thought that was really, really wonderful to have. And thank you for all of you who attended and participated, because it was just I think a great experience for everyone.
My table was full of really smart people, so I stayed quiet. I want to add one thing to this if I could. We want to, for when we get back into executive or general session, and when we go, want to have who's going to make the motion and second those requests.
Do you want to designate someone as up there? I'll make the motions.
Okay, so Ruby is going to make the motions. Who's going to second
I'll
the?
second it.
You will, Neil? Okay. Okay, that's it. Well, then we have something else to read.
The time is 9:41, and as designated by President Gaskill, the public session is now in recess, so that we can go to executive session.
This was the fastest general session we've had. And so do you guys want to just go right into executive for a little bit, or do you want to take a 5-minute break?
Do we need to change?
I'm gonna end this
Yeah.
now and I'll.
Melissa, you.
Yes.